Hello, my loves, and welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast. We are going to be talking about fueling our beautiful, sexy bods today and turning some awareness up on how we create inputs and turning some old paradigms upside down that are keeping us stuck and maybe not having us feeling so good in our bodies. Before this episode kicks off, if you are not yet on the Insights newsletter list, I highly encourage you to pause real quick, go grab the link in the show notes, and get your sweet peach on the list. It has some really juicy insights coming for you this month, all next month, and the month of March for sure on the 3 pillars of health that we are focusing on. The 3 pillars of wealth that we are focusing on. So if you're not yet on the Insights email list, I would love to welcome you. Go and grab the link below. All right, let's kick off the episode. Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we talk about manifestation, money, and practical guidance to creating your dream reality. My name is Amy Van Meel, and I am an experienced coach and transformation guide, obsessed with helping you get out of your own way and create a life that blows your mind each day you wake up. My goal in this podcast is to share practical manifestation, self-awareness, and growth techniques in real talk conversations. So if you're ready to massively transform your reality, your finances, your relationships, and your overall enjoyment of life, you are in the right place. I am absolutely delighted that you're here with me today, babe. Let's get into it. Hello, my love, and welcome back to the Manifesting Millions podcast. Whew, if you caught last week's episode, you'll probably have noticed that we didn't have any of the intro and outro music, and there's no sort of pre-recorded bits like the email insights that you heard at the beginning of this episode, because I was trying something new. It didn't work. I shouldn't say that. It didn't work in the way that I was hoping it would work. It doesn't mean that it's a fail. It just means that we keep trying something new. I am trusting that the audio for this week is capturing well. And hopefully there's no background, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Echo, I suppose. My office is small, but there's a lot of hard surfaces around me, so it feels echoey to me, but hopefully it's not feeling that way to you. I'm sitting in my cozy chair. It's where I do all my writing. It's where I do my creating. I used to do a lot of meditation in here. Now I often sit somewhere else for meditation. So I've got the microphone set up, but in a slightly different spot. So it's a little further away from my face, and hopefully it's all working great. Welcome to 2026. I don't know about you, but holy moly, am I ever glad that it is 2026. This month, in all of the content that I'm bringing out for you, whether it's through my email newsletter, which, by the way, if you are not yet on the Insights email newsletter, what are you even doing? Get your buns on there. There's some really, really, really good stuff that I've got queued up and written, ready to go, that's going to be dropping over the next few months. And this particular month, the month of January 2026, we're going to be focusing on one of the pillars of wealth, and specifically focusing on health. Here's the thing. I think that January is a very juicy time for us to get into this kind of content because we're fresh off of all the things from the holiday. Many people will have had some version of a resolution, whether that's you or not, I don't know. But often we have resolutions that we set around, our weight or our health goals or fitness goals, things like that. And we can talk about a billion different things. What I want to touch on today, as I'm just going to call up my notes here, is I want to touch on this whole like restrictive diet thing. So the email that dropped on Monday, I'm debating whether I like put the monthly emails as like a free download in case you haven't signed up yet. Because if you're signing up after, like when you're hearing this podcast, you will not have gotten Monday's email. But Monday's email, I talked a bit more about cravings and what is happening behind cravings, and understanding what's happening behind the cravings will actually help you shift how you respond to them. What we're going to talk about today is a little bit more about like how to approach the fueling of your body. Okay, because the truth is this, as unexciting and kind of frustrating as it is, we actually eat not to feel good specifically, but to nourish and fuel our body. That's the whole reason that we partake in food, that we create meals. Like that's it. That's the reason that we do the things. Okay. We're not eating because we want to like feel better. Our body isn't like, you know what would be so healthy and nutritious for my body right now? Like a giant batch of cookies. That's not how our bodies work. We actually eat as a way of nourishing and fueling our body. Now, the problem is that, like, we have a lot of life things going on, and we have very easy access to just a whole schwack of things that are not the healthiest inputs for our body, right? Like, listen, you're not the only one. I know I'm not the only one. We have a drawer of snacks. Now, in that snacks includes like protein bars, and there's these really delicious things called Smart Sweets. If you haven't had them before, they're amazing. They're very high fiber and like a virtually sugar-free little like gummy. They have all kinds of different flavors. My husband and I, like, we can't get enough. We have to actively like restrict ourselves to how much we eat. Um, anyway, they're delicious. But we have chocolates and we have other different things. We are not big on all the snacks as much as we used to. And I know for myself, for sure, I definitely don't eat the kind of food that I used to. I eat now much more healthy than 10 or 20 years ago, heck, even 5 years ago. But this is what I've noticed in the month of January. The last 2 years have been really challenging, and as part of what's been going on, and as part of like just the time of my life, because like the peri is not a small thing, I have added a few pounds to my bod, and more than I feel comfortable carrying long term. So I am in the process of beginning to go through a weight release. Now, I did this, if you've listened to the podcast at all, you know that I did this a few years ago. I released 52 pounds. It was amazing. I felt good. I looked good. And it was a relatively easy journey. But there were some critical things that I did before I actually started doing anything at all related to like actively releasing the weight. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm in that like active release stage. What I have noticed this particular January is that I have been desiring more of the snack foods and like more regularly. Now the volume overall, like I'm not plowing through a bag of chips, but I, for example, will want chips more often. Or I want something sweet after dinner. Now, part of what happens is over the holidays, so many of us get into eating all of the rich foods and having all the desserts, and there's all the parties with all the snacks, and I've baked more cookies than I can think of. I think I went through 4 pounds of butter one week just with all the baking that I was doing. So I get it. And there's like a stock full of cookies in the freezer. And tomorrow my husband and I will be making Bailey's brownies, which are amazing, for a dinner that we're going to tomorrow night. And there will be some leftovers that will be stored in our freezer. So there certainly is lots of that. But as we move through the month of December where there's more parties. We probably started December, wherever you are in your like specific health vibe, you may have started being like, okay, like I'm not going to snack too much. But by the end of December, we're spending lots of time with family or friends. There's parties, there's gatherings, there's always snacks, there's always different things. We want to try them. They're delicious. They only come out once a year. And then by the end of the month, we found ourselves really embedded in this space of having these snacks. So how do we shift that? Well, it's a it's a little bit at a time. So what I'm actively working on this month as I realign into my goal of releasing the added weight that that my body is carrying currently is flexing some awareness of like, okay, I just want to notice myself, having the snack. I just want to notice myself, whatever. One of the things yesterday, so here's a great example of like how we can choose to do some um, eating for energy versus, I want to say this differently, like being intentional with our choices. I think that's what I want to say. I was at the bakery yesterday picking up a couple loaves of bread. We keep some marble rye sourdough in the freezer. It's delicious. And I was at the bakery, which is always a dangerous place to be. But oh my goodness, I was having a rough day by the time I got there and I walked in and it just felt like a warm hug. And I'm like, I am so here for this vibe. And in the case, of course, it's like cookies and croissants and cakes and pies and snacks and all kinds of things. And I had spied a cheese croissant, which is my weakness. And I'm like, OMG, it's a cheese croissant. It would be so good. It's less than $3. I could like totally go after this thing. And I decided not to because my internal chatter was, well, this cheese croissant, while it would be delicious, actually doesn't align with any of the goals that I'm moving towards. It doesn't align with my goal to nourish my body with healthier food that isn't so calorie dense. And it also doesn't align with my goal of being more mindful in terms of my dollars for the next little while. So being able to look at those things, well, all of a sudden the cost of having this croissant was too high, regardless of what the actual cost of the croissant was. But fast forward to yesterday afternoon, and I was like, it was a day yesterday, okay? So while we don't fuel to like deal with our feelings, we do eat to deal with our feelings from time to time. And certainly in my family history, that is a big way and one of the few acceptable ways that was okay for us to deal with our emotions. Like it's very normal in my family to eat for our emotions. So by like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I hadn't had a full lunch because lunch is my least favorite meal of the day. It just requires so much like prep and planning, and it's all the other meals are much easier. I'm just gonna say, and I'm sticking to it. Okay. Anyway, I was craving some salt. Excuse me, and so I found myself having some chips. And as I was walking to go get the bag of chips to have some, my internal chatter said, "But Amy, this isn't aligned with your goal of releasing the weight and having health." And the other part of me said, I don't give a damn. I would like some chips now. Thank you very much. I will deal with the feeling crummy about myself later on. But right now, I just want to like create some input that is joyful and I enjoy chips. So that's just how it's going to be. What happens when there's two things. How do I say this? There's two things that happen in terms of like food. One is that we are actually, like I said at the beginning, we're eating to fuel our body. Now I want you to tune into that pretty deeply for a second. This one's for the ladies because like as far as I know, I haven't been a dude in this particular iteration of my life. So I can't tell you what it's like being in a dude's body, but I can tell you what it's like being in a woman's body. In a woman's body, There are different fluctuations that are happening internally. So I think our hormones have a massive impact on this, but different fluctuations that are happening in our body that will cause us to desire certain foods. Now, we all know that, like, when we're tired, right? Like, if we're really tired and we're trying to push through to the end of the day, or you're running around errands or whatever else, and like you're just like, oh fuck, I've got no time to have a meal or something, and your body just goes, I need energy now. And that's when we find ourselves reaching, we're getting better. So we tend to reach more for protein bars and stuff now, but we also will still grab for the candy bar, maybe a bag of chips, something that your body knows. Listen, your body is smart as fuck. Your body knows what has fast available energy. Okay? It's nobody's fool. So when we fight against that, we're like, no, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. I'll just push through. Just push through. You will inevitably find yourself on the other side going, okay, now I'm really hungry and now I'm approaching hangry because like all your resources are spent. And that can still happen, of course, when we have the candy bar, but your body knows. So if you find yourself like, why am I craving a candy bar? I haven't wanted one of those in forever, and you're tired and you're drawn out, and a candy bar is just one example, but it could very well be that your body's resources of energy are drained or draining hard fast, and it knows that there is easily accessible energy in that. Okay? Because sugar is energy. It's not the highest form of energy, but it is energy. And refined sugar is very easy for our body to access and like turn into energy. Now, that is like all aside from the conversation of like what is actually healthy, what is actually nourishing your body, all of those things. So, that part aside, right? Like you're tired, drained, your body needs active energy. What you will have very likely noticed if you possess a female body for any time more than like, let's say 19 years, because it takes us a beat to figure this shit out, you will have noticed that you will be driven to eat certain things more at some times of the month than others. Now, here's where I've been getting really fucked up, okay? I'm in the peri, and my cycles have been, I'm not enjoying this, okay? I've never really enjoyed having my period. It's never really been my jam. And currently, I've been experiencing 2 week cycles, meaning that like I have 2 weeks off and then I get my period again. And I'm like, Jesus fuck, I don't need more of these. Like, what is happening? And I've talked with friends who've said, you know, they went through similar things like that too as they were going through the peri. So like, it's normal, but it's annoying. But here's the problem. There's no knowing if it's going to be a 2 week cycle or a standard 3 week cycle. And even though I've had possession of this body for 42 years, I still don't always correlate what is happening in terms of like my body asking for things and what's happening internally that I will only know in a few days' time or a week's time. What I mean by that is I've noticed that so typically kind of a week before my period would start, and it's varied at different times in my life. It hasn't always been this way, but typically a week before my period starts, I will be jonesing hard for the snacks. And I find myself constantly wanting the chips and constantly wanting like something sweet. And I'm just like, oh my God, like what is going on? Like I'm pulling out cookies out of the freezer so they can like thaw on the counter and I can have them in the afternoon. And I'm trying to understand what is going on. And my body's like, girl, I know what's going on. And then like a week later or a few days later or whatever, my period comes and it's early because it's like at its 2 week cycle instead of the typical 3. And I'm like, oh, well, in the meantime, I spent this whole time beating myself up about some of these things. Some medical professional somewhere, some scientist will be able to tell us all the reasons why our bodies crave these things in that time. All I know is that it's somehow tied to like whatever's happening in our hormone cycle and our body is looking for something. That's the part that I want you to hear. Your body is looking for something. When you are eating your feelings, Your feelings are looking for something, and 99% of the time, they're looking for comfort. All right? That's why we call it comfort food. I know this is obvious. I just want you to understand this. But our body will be trying to find something and it will use what it knows. So, for example, I don't think ever in my life have I ever craved, what's a good example? I have to think of something that I haven't eaten. Like, I'm just gonna, I don't know any Indian dishes other than like curry. So let's assume there's like some, um, specific Indian flavored dish. This was the best I got, okay? I've not craved that particular dish, whatever it is, because jambalaya chicken, okay? I don't think I've ever had jambalaya chicken, and if I have, it's been like once. So that's a good one. I don't know what it is. I seem to think it's hot. It might be out of the southern US. Who knows? But I have never in my life craved jambalaya chicken because my body doesn't know what it is. So it doesn't know what's in it. It doesn't know that, like, it has whatever that would feel a certain way. So don't crave that food. My body isn't asking for that food. But there are different times where maybe I'm really wanting to have salad or pizza. That one's actually been big on my radar in the last little while. I'm very curious if it's because I've been watching Friends in the background as I've been doing lots of baking and stuff, and they're always having pizza on the show, because that definitely could be part of it. So pay attention to like what is going on in your external world. Like, are you noticing, for example, that TV shows are influencing? And even if you aren't aware, they are. Fun fact, that's how it works. Are they influencing your choices in what it is that you are putting into your body? So, like, lately I've been really craving pizza. Every now and again, I will get a deep need for a burger. I pay attention when that comes up because in my experience, it's been one of two things. Either I'm like hard in need for some protein and some like caloric density, because let's be real, a burger and fries is not calorie light, all right? Sometimes I'm in hard need for a calorie dense meal, and burgers are something that I just love anyway. I love fries, like the whole package together is delicious. If you've ever done a day of like really hard physical labor, very rarely are you going to finish a day of hard physical labor and be like, you know what I really want? I could so go for a salad. Like, your body isn't looking for greens. Your body is saying, give me the fucking calories. We just worked our asses off. The other thing that I notice when there's this deep desire for a burger coming up is that it also might be related to wanting a social experience. And what I'm seeing in the last few weeks is that, like, when that has popped up, it actually has come out of a desire for something more. So whether it's connecting with a friend, whether it's being out amongst people, like, that's where that desire comes from. Fueling your body to nourish it and understanding that that's the whole reason that we actually eat may help you shift how you see the food that you are offering your body as inputs. And what I want to be clear on here, so there's a lot of talk about, I don't know if there's a lot of talk. I think there's a lot of talk about restrictive diets. It's certainly something that like is present in my mind. But these restrictive diets, so diets that like completely cut out a food group or are like very, 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 well, there's a reason they're called restrictive, very restrictive in what's available. Maybe it's a point system. Maybe you have to earn it. Maybe, I don't know. I've never done a diet, okay? Because I've always been on a diet, because a diet is just what you eat. That is a diet. It is your diet. But the ones that get really restrictive with things I've never ever done, because I don't believe they work long term. And I would argue that the results are proving that out. Our bodies actually want diversity in the inputs. Now, each and every one of us has, call it habits, right? Things that we eat that are maybe culturally um, embedded in us, maybe through family meals, maybe through, our travels, whatever, but we tend to eat much of the same thing over and over and over again. I've lost count of how many eggs I've eaten because fried eggs, like a fried egg on a slice of toast, has become one of our staples in this house lately. Don't know why, but there we are. And I'm intrigued by it. And I'm like, okay, my desire for like big meaty proteins has also gone down. I used to want and need a giant steak. And now we get these like, oh my God, they're so good. If you're ever in Calgary, reach out to me because there's a butcher in Calgary that does these amazing top sirloin baseball steaks. Oh my God, they're so good. And we get like a 6 to 8 ounce steak that like they're cut in 6 to 8 ounce pieces. Dave and I share one. Okay, he has half, I have half. That's it. And that's more than enough protein for me in that meal. If I try to eat an entire one, I don't feel well. Chicken breast is a great example. I love chicken breast. I no longer can eat a whole chicken breast. I will not feel well because it's too much for me. So my protein intake in terms of serving size has reduced. Now, here's the other thing that is weird. I think this is weird, but I've noticed certainly as I've gotten older is that my body really desires vegetables. Listen, over New Year's, my love and I were bumps in a log, and our meals were like nobody wanted to cook. I didn't want to cook. My husband didn't want to cook. So we were just like, fuck it, we'll make something super easy. Let's go back and sit on the couch like the lumps that we are becoming. And after about 3 days of that, we had some pickles and like I think there might have been a spear of broccoli like earlier on from like a leftover meal or something. I don't know, but we hadn't really had much in terms of veggies. And by like day 3 or 4, my body was like, hello, bitch, we need some fucking vegetables. Send some broccoli down the chute. Get a damn salad in here. What is going on? So that is definitely very different. I did not have that before, but the inputs that our body requires for not just energy, okay? When we fuel our body, it's not just for energy. That's a big one. Obviously, we need to like keep ourselves functioning throughout the day, but we are fueling the systems of our body. We fuel the system that is our digestive tract. And that's where veggies are very, very important, right? There's a reason that we want high fiber veggies. They do very important work inside our colon. That's their job. Like it just is. We want, like, we know dairy, whatever, it doesn't have to be like cow dairy, but dairy-ish products have calcium. Calcium, we know, fuels our bones and our teeth and like things like that. We know this about different food groups. So our body naturally wants to have diversity in what we eat, even if we're not necessarily having like completely different meals all of the time. So notice when you're fueling your body, it's not just that you're fueling it for energy, you're fueling the systems of your body. And I saw this and I love this so much. An email from Marie Forleo. I'm on her email list, and like I received an email from her this week that was kind of like, hey, have you noticed that like brain fog is kind of getting in the way? And basically she just went on to say, you need to hydrate more. Hello, drink water. And I'm like, interesting. That I think I knew that, but I had maybe like forgotten that I knew that. And water, hydration is part of what fuels our bodies, right? It's part of what fuels our systems. I want to end this podcast on this last little bit because the original subject that I was thinking I would frame this podcast episode on was how to eat for energy, not just for being good. This is one that for any of us, I think women in particular are susceptible to this. But any of us who really strive to do things correctly, I'm talking to you, Virgos, I see you. Any of us who really strive to do things correctly, any of us who have somehow at some point in our lives been embedded with a conditioning that says there is moral, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to come to me. There is I'll say moral positivity. I don't think that's quite right, but moral positivity in eating in a certain way, i.e., if you make good choices in your food, you therefore are a good person. If you doubt me that this is something that is deeply embedded into our society, let me ask you, have you ever said, no, sorry, I can't have the cookie, I'm being good this week? If you're saying, oh shit, that's totally me, I've totally said that, or I know somebody who said that, that's what that means. It's this idea that we are being good based on our choices for food. And the other side of that coin is, of course, that when we are eating things that we deem are not good foods, which we typically will put like, the cookies, the chips, the chocolates, the sweets, those kinds of things. We could also listen. I mean, full fairness, because I tend to put cookies and chips in there. That's what I think of. Burgers and pizza and what else is like a high something food? Deep fried shit, hot dogs, right? We put those in the bad category. Oh, I'm being really bad. This is my second hot dog this week. Oh, I'm really being bad. I've like eaten almost an entire pizza. Like we have this correlation between the foods that we eat and our moral standing. When we can, I'm going to tread carefully on this topic because this is a giant topic and I don't want to crack open an enormous like oak tree of a conversation. But when we witness people in society who are carrying additional weight, and I would say typically carrying a very large amount of additional weight, we tend to, as a society all over the world, ascribe a lack of morality to that person because we have this deeply embedded belief that says if you are carrying extra weight, you are eating bad foods, therefore you are a bad person. We know that that's not true. Logically, if you asked anybody that like straight up, they go, well, no, of course not. That has nothing to do with it. But that is how we see things. So this has been a little bit of a roundabout conversation. But what I hope to leave you with this week is to just kind of like remember that in your journey to creating like a truly wealthy as fuck life, one of those pillars, because I taught this in the live workshop I did in November. I'm going to be running that workshop again at the end of March. I'll put the link in the show notes for you to get registered for that. Oh my gosh, the words fell out of my head for that workshop. But what I talked about in the workshop that I ran in November was that having wealth is not just about the money. Okay? Money is a part of it. It's a key part of it, right? Because of course, you could have all the other pillars of a wealthy life, but if you are feeling financial strain and lack and struggle, you will not feel truly wealthy as fuck. But so much of what we have talked about, and I'm guilty of this as well, because certainly this has been my focus, but definitely as a societal group, we've talked about wealth purely in the form of money. And you can have as much money as you want to in the world and be unhealthy and not feel wealthy. You could have as much money in the world as you want to, be very healthy and fit and everything, not have a satisfying career and not feel wealthy. You can have all three of those things and not have like someone that you desperately want to share your life with and not feel wealthy. There are pillars to a wealthy as fuck life. And so I am endeavoring to help us start to build up those pillars and start to build up our awareness of them, because I want for you not just a life that has lots of cash dollars in it, which is amazing. And I know it's so funny to me because my podcast is called Manifesting Millions. Everybody presumes that it is about manifesting millions of dollars, but it actually started, the title actually came out of this belief and expectation that we can manifest millions of anything that we want. I have like a 1 hour course that is called Manifesting a Million Moments of Joy. And it's literally about how do we align more deeply into joy in our life so that it can expand in our life. Nothing to do with dollars, okay? I'm constantly manifesting. I'm manifesting millions of moments of joy, a million moments of delight, and millions of hugs and smooches with my love, and millions of like ski runs and in all the mountains, and bazillions of snowflakes. Let's be real. I'm not holding off at millions of snowflakes. I want bazillions of snowflakes, please and thank you. So that's what this podcast is actually about. It's not just about manifesting millions of dollars, but manifesting millions of what feels good in life. And so in January, I'm just focusing on health. And I don't remember what we have a topic for next week as well. And I've already got it written up, but I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. And I don't need you to hang out while I click around. So what I do want to finish with is... Thank you for sticking with me, by the way. If you are still listening, because I realize that this episode has bopped around a little bit. One of the things that I'm testing out this quarter is hosting a live call at the end of each month to provide further support and conversation about the topics that we're having. So January is all about health. Obviously, I've said that like 16 times now. At the end of January, on January 29th, I had to have a peek at my calendar. On January 29th, I'm going to be hosting a live call, presuming, of course, that people sign up. If you don't sign up, if nobody signs up, ain't going to be no call, because this is not actually a teaching call. I'm not going to be jumping on to like share content from the side of like, okay, let me just teach you on something. What I'm intending with these calls, what I'm trying out, is a space for you to have real-time conversation with me. Bring questions about perhaps something of what I've shared on the podcast, or something about what I've talked about in the email. If you're not yet on the email, click the link in the show notes and get on that insights list, because they're good, and I really intend to bring very, very high value content into your inbox. I also know that we get bazillions of emails. So like, total respect if you're like, no, not for me. That's cool. Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So this live call will be happening on the 29th and likely happening like in the later afternoon. I don't know if I'm playing with different times for things as well. My workshops typically run at like 11 a.m. Mountain Standard, and I'm going to test this call out probably like 4 or 5 p.m. Mountain Standard, so you can like catch it after work and stuff. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'll put the link in the show notes as well for you to register for that call, and you can join us live. It costs you nothing. It's completely free, and you can ask me all the questions. So, excuse me, apologies. I had a little baby burp. That's all I have for today. This is what happens when I have no notes. I trust that what I've shared has been helpful. I really encourage you to play with some awareness in terms of your own health, how you are feeling about your body, the kinds of things that you are inputting into your body. Notice the stories that you tell yourself about the foods that you eat or how much food you eat. Oh my goodness, raise your hand if you're of the, you gotta finish your plate, there are starving children in Africa kind of school of thought of parenting. I still struggle. Actually, do you know, it's so funny. I think I was much better at not finishing my plate when I was younger than I am now. Because now I'm like, well, no, if I put it on there, I should finish it at least. But yeah, I'm practicing on it. When I was a kid, I was like, no fucking way I'm finishing those Brussels sprouts. No, thank you. You can mail them to the starving children in Africa. I will be very happy to share my vegetables with them. So there we are. I wish you an incredible week, and I look forward to seeing you next week on the podcast. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you loved what you heard today, Be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform and help me reach more like-minded people who are ready to expand their life. If you haven't yet followed me on social media, find me on Instagram for extra love and inspiration by following at Amy Van Meel or visit my website at amyvanmeel.com. I love you so much, babe, and I am damn proud of you. I am already excited to connect in the next episode. And in the meantime, believe in yourself with the confidence of a 5-year-old.